What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic day. It's nice and warm out here today. I think we got it at about 84 degrees, and I've got the itch to plant some stuff. I particularly got the itch to put some tomato plants in the ground because I have some in the greenhouse that are ready. But I know I gotta wait at least one more week, maybe 2 more weeks before we're all clear on the frost. So we're not going to plant anything today, but what we do have to do is move our girls over here because they have finished mowing down this cover crop of Bayou Kale. I also have some harvesting I need to do to get some plots kind of cleaned up and ready for some spring planting when that time comes. So let's go check on the girls, see how they're doing. They may even have a little surprise for us in the top of that chicken tractor. And then we're gonna make a long move all the way across the property and put them on something else to eat. So we got our gals over here, and it's their last day on this Bayou Kale cover crop right here. We get a lot of folks asking what we do about rabbits around here. That's what we do about rabbits right there. But anyway, back to the cover crop. So on this Bayou Kale cover crop, the chickens started right here. They went down that way, back up this way, back down that way, and back up this way. So that's their last stop on this Bayou Kale. So this was our first time growing Bayou Kale as a cover crop. Yes, you can eat this stuff, but it is particularly designed as a forage crop for livestock and or chickens, like we see there. And if you've been following along, you might remember that this stuff looked pretty pitiful initially before it was grazed, but the regrowth here actually looks really good, which tells me it just needed a little fertilizer. So once it's got a little chicken poop on it, it grew back really nicely, and I got a lot of green growth there. It also tells me that this stuff tolerates grazing pretty well and will grow back pretty well. Now I'm not going to let this grow back so they can graze it again, because we'll need to get this ready for spring planting before too long. But that does kind of help me out. If I want to grow this stuff again, I know that it will grow back after being chomped down pretty good by those guys, and we could rotate them back around one more time if we wanted to. And if we look along these lanes here, we can kind of see the progression. So that lane there was grazed first. The grow back on it is a little more significant. Then we see right here, this was the second lane that was grazed. This right here is just now starting to grow back, and this is what has been grazed this week. So that right there looks pretty bare, but it will recover more than you would think, because all of this looked just as bare as that does just a week or so ago, and now it is grown back. So this stuff recovers pretty well. And while we're out here, I'll show you how this Balanza clover has recovered. It's recovered really nice. So this was actually grazed twice. Chickens made 2 trips around this stuff here, and with the exception of that one little bare patch in the middle, this stuff has grown back really well. We could put the chickens back on here if we wanted to. I don't think this plot needs any more nitrogen since they already made 2 trips around it, but we could if we wanted to. And I want to show you this. I mowed this little strip the other day just so I could see what kind of carpet this clover was putting down, and look at that right there. I mean, this stuff is just forming a nice mat on the soil there. That also tells me it might take a few runs with a tiller to get it incorporated in, and so I might start doing that soon. But I've been really impressed with this Balanza clover and how well it tolerates grazing and how well it grows back. So now back to the girls here. They know it's time to move. This is when they get all excited because they know they're going to get put on greener pastures. We've gotten 3 eggs so far. 1 a few days ago, and then no eggs, and yesterday we had 2 eggs. So let's see if we've got anything in here now. And nothing today. They would do that right when I was going to show you guys hopefully a surprise in here. Nothing in here today. So we haven't started getting a whole lot of consistent egg laying from these guys yet, but we are getting a few eggs, which is a good sign. I don't know which of the 4 breeds in here are laying the eggs, but I'm hoping soon we'll start getting, you know, 3, 4, maybe 5 eggs a day. So where are the chickens going next? Well, we're gonna make quite a long distance move today. We'll just have to see how it goes. We're gonna go from here all the way through that barn there, because I think that is the path of least resistance, and then let's walk on the other side of the barn and I'll show you where they're going. Now I could certainly put these girls in the yard and just move them around the yard every day, but if I have something in the garden that they can eat, I'd rather them be in the garden. So we've got this cool season cover crop cocktail we planted here. I think this has mustard trifecta blend. It has some of that Bayou Kale and also has some of that Balanza clover. Now the clover didn't really start thriving until some of that mustard bolted and some of the other stuff kind of fizzled out a little bit. Then the clover kind of took over. So there's been quite the succession of growth in here. And now, as you can see, we just have a nice dense mat of cover crop here. So I mowed this on one video maybe a month or so ago because a lot of that mustard was bolting. And about a week ago, I came in here and mowed it one more time because we had a little more mustard flowering going on, and I don't want mustard to become a weed in here. So I mowed it one more time, and mowing it seems to make this stuff get thicker. Definitely makes that clover get thicker. So it's been grazed twice with the mower. It's nice and thick now, and I think the chickens will really enjoy this. So based on the size of this plot and moving the chickens every single day like we've been doing, giving them no pelleted food whatsoever, maybe a little worm snack every now and then in the afternoons, but just letting them eat the cover crop, no chicken food, moving them every day, I figure it'll probably take them about 15 to 20 days to work over this plot here. Now what that's going to do is that's going to push back my sweet corn planting a little bit, because this is the plot we have designated to grow our solstice sweet corn in. And that's going to push back my sweet corn planting a week, maybe 2 weeks, but that's okay, because some of these super sweet varieties that we like to plant don't germinate well in cooler soils. You could probably plant Silver Queen sweet corn right now down here. But for the super sweets, we need to wait till the soil gets nice and warm. And so this whole process, letting the chickens graze this, will make me wait until the soil gets nice and warm. Then we'll plant our sweet corn. All right, so let's lift up the rear end of our chicken tractor here and let's make the move. I think that wore me out more than it did the chickens. But we got them there, and they're loving this stuff already. They happy to see some more of that clover. They really like that stuff, and I imagine they'll like them mustard greens and some more of that kale as well. So they'll start mowing this stuff down, and they can mow down no matter how thick it is, even as thick as that is. They can mow down the inside of that tractor there in just one day, and then we just move them every afternoon. We'll move them down there, back this way, back up, back down, until they cover the whole plot. And in previous videos where we've shown moving this chicken tractor, we've had several people ask, why don't you use your little Kawasaki mule to move it instead of pulling it? And the problem with that is that would move it too fast. You really got to go slow, walking real slow. Otherwise you'll catch their feet with those, wooden slats on the bottom there. So you just got to go slow, be patient with them. I didn't have any problem going slow because that was a long way to pull it. It's not that heavy, but it's just a long way to pull a chicken tractor. So going slow is the key, and I don't know that you'd want to move them this far, more than this far in one day, because it might stress them out a little too much. That might have been a little too much for them there, but they seem to be doing just fine now. if I make that long of a run in the future, I'll probably split it up into a few days. So the chicken tractor has been a vital part of our garden plan, cover crop rotation, all those good things this past fall and through the winter, and it will continue to be a very vital part of our garden plan. If you remember several videos ago, we showed taking the soil plugs and comparing all the plots, and I said I was going to send those off to get them soil tested. Well, I did that, and just before I came out here to move that chicken tractor, I got the results back in the email, and let's just say I was very, very surprised at one particular part of the results there. I won't give away everything just yet. We'll do a separate video on that, and we'll show you all the results and talk about maybe why they are what they are. But there's definitely some differences between the Dream Garden and these sandy plots in the back, as we suspected. And then one thing that really surprised me that I'm not sure how I'm going to fix, but I think the chicken tractor is definitely going to help. All right, now let's do a little harvesting. So we got to start doing some cleanup in here, getting some stuff out of here, because this is where our watermelons are going to go, and we're a long ways off from it being clean enough to plant watermelons in here. So I got to mow the grass along the sides. I know that looks atrocious right now, but we'll get that fixed this weekend. We got some cilantro here that is bolted. We've been snagging a little bit of this, just trying to savor the last bit of it, but I'll probably pull those up pretty soon. There's a little bit of dill there. The rest of our dill just bit the dust, didn't make it. We've got our fennel here, which I was leaving for the butterflies, but it looks pretty pitiful. And I don't know if it's going to make it or not. It might be destined for the compost pile. Got some blank space here with some weeds. We need to run the wheel hoe through here, clean this up. We've got some red cabbage. We've harvested some. We left some just to see what it would do, and we finally have some somewhat respectable heads there we need to get out of here. We got our English peas right here. We trellised those a few videos ago. Those have taken to that string pretty well. Not time to run another line of string quite yet, but it won't be long. Then over here we've got our Brussels sprouts, which we've been eating a few of. And as you can see there, the bugs have been eating a few of them too. So we need to go ahead and get most of these out of here. They'll keep in a bag in the fridge pretty well, and we'll mow through these things. We really like to eat them. I could eat them almost every night. So here we've got some Savoy cabbage that really didn't impress me at all. I only got just a couple of viable heads here out of these 6 or 7 so plants. I don't remember the name of this variety. Maybe it was called Savoy Perfection, but it didn't do that great. I think I like Savoy King a lot better. Maybe there's one head there we can work with. Some of the rest of this might be going in the compost pile. And then we've got our spinach over here, which I'm going to leave here for a while. I don't think it's going to bother anything, and if watermelon plants do eventually climb over it, it's not going to be a big deal. This stuff was getting eat up pretty bad several weeks ago. We cut it all, and then I sprayed it with some of that Azera, and the second kind of regrowth here is looking a lot better. So we're going to be cutting a lot of that soon, sharing a lot of it, because that's a lot of spinach, but happy to see that I was able to get that bug problem under control. So our plan here, although it looks quite messy right now, we'll get it straightened up pretty quick. Our plan here is to have 2 rows of watermelon on this side of the English peas, and then we'll have another 2 rows of watermelon on this side of those English peas. Now, you may be thinking, well, those English peas are going to be in the way. The watermelon vines are going to be climbing all over those. And they may eventually, but by the time the watermelons really start vining and growing, it will be hot, and these English peas will probably be toast. So that's just kind of my succession plan here, is to plant the watermelons in here, and once they start really growing, we'll be done with peas anyway. So let's get the few heads of cabbage out of here that are even worth harvesting. That one there is kind of small, but that'll be pretty good to eat right there. And we had one of these the other night. We made some cilantro slaw with it. You can really see the color on these once you peel back those outer leaves. I think this variety was called Red Jewel or something like that. Isn't that pretty there? So these are nice, bright red cabbages once you pull back those outer leaves, and they're really tasty. You got a really nice crunch to them, That's what I really like about this variety. Maybe not the biggest producing or the largest headed red cabbage variety I've ever grown, but I do like the texture and flavor on these. Here's another decent one right here. Oh yeah, man, those are pretty. There ain't nothing wrong with that. That's good for a little batch of slaw for 4 or 5, maybe even 6 folks. So not massive, but still good to eat. So there's what we found there. A lot of size variation. That one there is pretty respectable. But then you have ones like these right here. And for those of you who do a little market farming on the side, here's a pro marketing tip for you. When you end up with little tiny cabbages like this, you might initially be disappointed, but when you sell these things, you sell them as baby red cabbage, and you'd be so surprised how many people would go crazy thinking there was such thing as baby red cabbage. So you got to know how to make the best of it. If you get a little bit skunked on your red cabbage, just sell them as baby red cabbage and you'll sell out pretty quick. And now for the Brussels sprouts. And we didn't get skunked on the Brussels sprouts this year. Happy to see that. We didn't knock it out of the park. We got a couple pitiful looking plants here, but we got plenty enough to eat and enjoy. Now I don't think I'm gonna harvest all these today, maybe just half of them, and then maybe get the other half tomorrow or this weekend. Now I have heard of some people coming in here and just picking a few off and leaving the rest of them to get bigger, but we do it as kind of a one-time harvest. So I just take my pruning shears, and since this is a no-till plot, I'm going to try to leave all this root structure in the soil here. I don't think these things will grow back, but we'll leave all that good biology there in the soil, and our watermelons will end up just kind of covering up anyway. So we're just going to go at the base right here, snip it off like that, and we'll get us a crate full of those. And when you get you a nice crate full, then it's time to just sit down, find you a comfy chair, maybe turn a good show on, good movie on, and just sit down, take your time, and pick these things off. Picking off Brussels sprouts a lot like shelling peas. Don't get in a hurry with it, just sit down and enjoy yourself. Now on a stalk like this, we've got a few runts in there. So you see that one right there? A few of these that I won't pick off, I'll leave them on the stalk. But I'll go through here and pick off the good ones. And you don't have to pick them off the stalk to store them in the fridge. You can leave them on the stalk and just pick them off right before you're ready to wash them and cook them. When we used to sell these as a part of our market farming operation, we sold them on the stalk like this because we didn't want to take the time to pick them off. We didn't feel like we could charge enough for them to compensate for the time it takes to pick them off. So what I would do is just take my knife, kind of trim them up a little bit like that. Maybe along the sides here, a little more, and then store them like that. So whether we're dealing with individual sprouts or stalks like this, we just put them in our little veggie storage bags that we use. If you go to our website, lazydogfarm.com, you'll see a link to Amazon where you can grab some of these. So it's fair to say that we were somewhat successful with Brussels sprouts this year. That doesn't happen every year, usually doesn't ever happen in consecutive years, but when it does happen, it is well worth all the years where we failed. And you might be thinking, well, what did you do? How did you do it? I've struggled with Brussels sprouts too. What's your secret? And I really don't have a good secret. I can tell you what I did this year, and I don't know if that really made a difference or not, but what I did this year that maybe I haven't done in past years was trimming the side stalks. That did seem to make the sprouts a little more full and uniform alongside the stalk. Now I still haven't figured out how those guys in California grow those 3-foot tall Brussels sprout stalks. I don't know how they do that. But we have about a foot long stalk here, and they're all pretty full. We got a few that are eaten by bugs, but we got a nice dense stalk of sprouts here. And I guess the other thing I did different this year was I fed them a little more than I have in the past. So we put that 855, the Nature Safe 855, down in the furrow at planting, just like we do with everything we plant. And then I side dress these guys with 1300 2 times. So I gave them plenty of nitrogen, and that did seem to help a little. And then the other thing, which we really can't control, is we had a nice sustained period of cold weather in January. We had a record warm December here, and then a really cold January. And anytime we can get a nice shot of cold like that, that usually means we get some decent sprout production. So have I mastered Brussels sprouts? Have I got it all figured out? Nope. But does a blind squirrel find a nut every now and then? Oh yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the video today, getting those chickens moved, albeit a long distance, and getting some of this fall and winter stuff out of this plot so we can get cleaned up and ready for watermelons. And if you had a successful Brussels sprout crop this year, I'd love to hear about it. I know some of you guys up north are thinking, Brussels sprouts, man, those are easy to grow. Well, they're not so easy for us to grow down here. So if you did get lucky and grow some nice Brussels sprouts, please tell me about it in the comments below. And I'd also like to hear your suggestions on a good red cabbage variety. That one we grew this year was just okay, but it didn't blow me out of the water. So I'm open to suggestions on what I'll try as my red cabbage variety this coming fall. Gonna be a while before that happens, but I'll start taking notes now. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to check out our affiliate links below. A lot of good companies that we trust and use in our gardens around here at Lazy Dog Farm. Even got some coupon codes for some of those companies so you can take advantage of those discounts. If you haven't already, go check out our website, lazydogfarm.com, where we've got our recipes, our garden blog, recommended products, and even some Lazy Dog Farm merch. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification button, like, and share. And we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.
Oh, farewell. By the beauty of your life,